Jason Schreier of Bloomberg has released a new article, Sony's Bungie faces reckoning after mass layoffs. It speaks about how Bungie has went downhill, mentions how a Destiny mobile game and spin-off game were in development at one point. Revenue for Destiny 2 expansions has been declining year after year. And we now know that future Destiny 2 updates will be smaller and free, moving away from annual paid expansions to more content like Into the Light. Today we discuss all of this and more. So as mentioned, this comes from Jason Schreier from Bloomberg. He begins the article speaking about the mass layoffs at Bungie. This week, Bungie shrunk from 1,300 employees to roughly 850, and that these deep cuts are likely going to change the long-running video game developer. Throughout this article, he mentions he spoke to around 10 employees who didn't want to be identified. Employees described that this company grew too fast and tried to develop too many projects at once, spreading resources too thin rather than prioritizing its chief moneymaker, Destiny 2. Most people were critical of CEO Pete Parsons, saying that he failed to take accountability for his own bad bets and that he'd been overly optimistic in his communications with the staff. In early 2022, during an era of low interest rates and strong post-COVID sales across the industry, Sony purchased Bungie for $3.6 billion. Flush with cash, Bungie hired hundreds of new staff members and pursued a myriad of incubation projects, including mobile versions of Destiny, remakes of old games, and new franchises. So let's just stop right there for a moment. So things were pretty good after COVID. Bungie got bought by Sony, got all this money, and decided, hey, we can now branch out and maybe make some of these other projects, move on from just Destiny. Remakes of old games make sense. Marathon was one of their previous franchises before Halo, so that still continues, but a mobile version of Destiny is very interesting. We've heard some leaks about this stuff before, but didn't know if it was true. Things began to go downhill though the year after in 2023. Bungie began to grapple with several problems. The expansion Lightfall failed to impress fans, while Marathon, an extraction shooter game that was well into development, struggled to coalesce. This led to a sort of chain of events. The final shape was the next big expansion and the conclusion to this whole saga, and that was flopping around as well, needed more time to cook. This then led to those layoffs we had at the end of last year, Bungie laying off around 100 employees and claiming to have missed revenue targets by 45%. They were losing money. Apparently feeling pressure from their parent company seeking increased profitability and facing its own set of challenges, Bungie execs started a new course. Both Marathon and Destiny 2 received new leadership as Sony's video game unit replaced its CEO and laid off 900 people. Employees were hopeful that the extra time on the final shape would lead to a great product, and the expansion did receive rave reviews. We know that as the players, most people seemed to enjoy it. But apparently, the critical acclaim had little impact on the deeper cuts that were already in the works at Bungie. Pete Parsons said they were overly ambitious. Their financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded and they began running in the red. That's from the article a couple of days ago. Schreier goes on to mention Bungie's Payback project. Payback was one of these incubation projects set in the Destiny universe that would shake up the formula in major ways. It would pivot from a first-person to third-person perspective and allow players to use the franchise's characters to explore a large world while cooperating to battle monsters and solve puzzles. The pitch took elements from popular games such as Warframe and Genshin Impact. So many people thought Project Payback was going to be Destiny 3, but in reality it was a spin-off game that was nothing like Destiny 1 or 2 at all. Schreier says it was a significant departure from the previous two games and would have been perceived more as a spin-off. 2 months ago, Bungie had to cancel Project Payback to prioritize games that were more imminent, moving the bulk of its team to Marathon, which is targeted to a 2025 release. So this has always interested me. Bungie has made spin-off games before. Halo 3 ODST, still in the Halo universe, still kind of similar, but it was something new. You got to play as an ODST character rather than this super soldier Spartan. So what would these spin-off games in the Destiny universe look like? A mobile game and then Project Payback, a Monster Hunter third-person exploration game. Parsons told us in the article the other day that Bungie's big focuses now are on Marathon and Destiny 2. Schreier says more of the employees are focused on Marathon, which is kind of upsetting considering Destiny 2 is their biggest profit maker, but here's what he has to say about the future of Destiny 2 itself. The company also plans to continue updating Destiny 2, although it will no longer pursue regular paid expansions as it did in the past, according to the people familiar. A company leader told attendees that sales of each expansion had declined year over year, including the final shape, so they will be moving away from the annual release model. Staff are optimistic though about this version of Destiny 2 under new director Tyson Green, a Bungie veteran who took the helm earlier this year. Bungie will look to retain and attract players with smaller scale content drops modeled after Into the Light. Rather than selling this content, they said, Bungie will aim to release it for free along with overhauls to activities that it hopes will appeal to hardcore players. Other vague plans for the future include a storyline that will feature characters and worlds that Destiny has not yet explored. So that is also intriguing. No big expansions anymore, little content drops, and then to me at the end there what seems to be Destiny 2 Frontiers that's supposed to release next year. It is kind of promising that it says plans for a future include a storyline that will feature characters and worlds that Destiny has not seen, so new locations and characters. He then goes on to say that Destiny 3 was never in development. Bungie is instead looking to create a smoother onboarding process for Destiny 2, such as rebranding to attract new players who might be turned off from a game that can now feel impenetrable to those unfamiliar with its ample, proper nouns. Bungie will now have to make do with smaller staff, tighter schedules, and a company that looks significantly different than it did 3 days ago. Longtime veterans Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy also exited this week. So that's pretty much the bulk of this article. The link can be found down below. Sony acquired Bungie in 2022 for a lot of money. Bungie with that money said, okay, we can branch out and make some new projects and continue Destiny 2, revive some old franchises. In 2023, issues arose when Lightfall failed to impress. Marathon struggled in development and financial losses missed revenue targets by 45%. Layoffs then followed, around 100 employees, and project delays. Although the final shape had positive reviews from fans, it did not offset these financial struggles. Bungie canceled some background projects like Project Payback, focusing on Marathon for next year's release. Future Destiny 2 updates will be free and smaller, moving away from the annual paid expansions. Plans to make Destiny 2 more accessible to new players and retain existing ones. So let us know in the comments down below how you feel about all of this information. Destiny 2 wise, if they can continue to keep things interesting, retain fans, possibly get some new ones, the game still could do well. It was claimed to be dead when everybody was fired back in October. Into the Light came out, everybody loved it. Final Shape, everybody loved that as well. They just weren't making money from it. I do hope that these stories continue in the future though. If we're going to go into Frontiers and visit new locations and have new characters, we need new stories, not just gameplay activities. Destiny is an amazing first-person shooter when it comes to gunplay and feel of the game, but a big part of it is the overall universe and the changes that we've seen throughout the years. So I hope that continues. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.